In the snowy wastes of the Valhallan steppes, a veteran whispers to a new recruit. You should have seen what I saw. The anti-air batteries shot down all of them. All but one. But Hive Fleet Matryoshka is clever. And that single spore got down and released a whole new gene stealer cult. These are some very interesting transport things you can do as a Tyranid player. And this tactic is generally known as what is done by Hive Fleet Matryoshka, because Russian dolls. You see, the tyrannocyte is a transport, and it can transport monsters, as long as that monster has a wound characteristic of 12 or less. The tyrannocyte itself is a monster with a wounds characteristic less than 12. So, points dependent, you can have infinite tyrannocytes inside a tyrannocyte, inside a tyrannocyte, inside a tyrannocyte, and maybe inside there some gene stealers or something, and a leader. Technically this can be an army. Now, how it would work on the battlefield, we'll get to. But Hive Fleet Matryoshka's plan is basically, I'm going to put some gene stealers in a box, then I'm going to put that box inside another box, and put that box inside another box, and that box goes inside another box, and then I post it to an Imperial planet, and there we go, Gene Stealer Cult. It's brilliant, 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 I say. Now this video is definitely not Index Errors 4. We're talking about transports. So when we're looking at other dedicated transports that come from the sky, well, the drop pods aren't one of them, because the drop pods don't have dedicated transport. So if they were to transport, say, a unit of Space Wolf scouts, oh well, these scouts only have 1 wound, compared to all of the Space Marine scouts which have 2 wounds. Which is odd, because the Space Wolves themselves don't use brand new initiates, they use much more experienced troops, who are like full Space Marines. So they should be much bigger. Now, someone who is much bigger, Junith Erute, I don't mean that she's a big lady, I mean she has a pulpit with her. Yet she is infantry, so somehow that pulpit fits inside a rhino, or an immolator. Her being infantry does unfortunately stop her from firing her flamers at point blank, which it kinda looks like on the model it should be able to do, but that's because she's infantry, so she doesn't get the big guns never tire. A rule that in itself is kind of confusing, and I have a video that just explains the many variations of how that works. Again, this is definitely not Index Errors 4. However, the Ripper guns on Nork Deadog and the Ogryn Bodyguard are very different to the ones that are on regular Ogryns. The Ripper guns on the Ogryn Bodyguards have sustained hits, whereas the Ripper guns on the regular Ogryns have rapid fire 3. The Great Unclean one has a Vomit attack, which is a ranged weapon that has Torrent, however, for some reason, it also has a ballistic skill of 2+. And the Eldar Rangers, they have sniper weapons, sure, but this is one of the cases where the Eldar are not overpowered compared to anyone else. Their long rifles are AP-1, whereas Imperial Guard, Space Marines, basically every other faction, has sniper rifles that are AP-2. Oh, and if we're flipping things on our heads, the Admech have something good? No, not really. It's a gun that they can't take. The Onager Dunecrawler's datasheet includes the stats for a heavy phosphor blaster. That doesn't appear on the sprue, so there's no way for the actual model to equip it, and its data card does not let it equip it either. Oh yes, the Leagues of Votann have some even more unusual weapons than those. They have berserkers with weapons of war. Now we know what it means, but since people got quite a giggle out of this in 9th edition, it's a bit of a surprise that Games Workshop decided not to change it and use the exact same wording for their weapons of war. I am not laughing, I am an adult. So getting back to the Russian dolls. How would this even work on the battlefield? What tactics can we do? What is it good for? Well, let's see what happens if they were to field a bunch of Tyrannocytes, some Gene Stealers, and a Broodlord as the Warlord. Now, tactics you could do with this, not great tactics, but You could turn up on turn 1, in the middle of the board, right on that central objective, get a tyrannocyte out of that tyrannocyte, get a tyrannocyte out of that tyrannocyte, and chain them across the battlefield to hit as many objectives as you can. Because I can't see any reason that a dedicated transport can't get out of a dedicated transport that was inside a dedicated transport at the start of the turn. But now my head is starting to hurt. This is a stupid idea. The tyrannocytes themselves are quite tough, and they're able to move 8 inches, you know, in their following turns after they've turned up from Deep Strike. So you could move them onto objectives and be slightly difficult to shift. The problem then is you're not going to be killing anything with the weapons that they've got. So it's a thing you could do. Much like having Titans in a Genestealer cult army. It's something you can do, but whether you want to do it, it's up to you. My darlings and viewers, this has been an interesting one. Have a great day playing 40k.